Let's get started. So, my name's Ilya. I'm the host of Waypoint Web3. This is a safe space that was organized by Sanctor Capital and United Gamers to kind of discuss all things Web3 gaming. We've had kind of a number of conversations about kind of different genres, different tooling. This has been kind of today's conversation is part of a mini series about the different blockchain gaming ecosystems. We've talked about Polygon, Solana, Avalanche, Harmony. You can go back and listen to the recordings of the previous sessions. But today we'll be talking about the Tezos ecosystem. Now, before I get started on that, I do have to say a few required words. Now, none of what I say is financial or legal advice. All of the opinions are my own. I am the co-founder of Sanctor Capital, and we invest in early stage teams in the Web3 space. So you may hear companies or asset names that we may have positions in, or had positions in, or will hold positions in. As I mentioned, nothing is financial or legal advice. In the interest of full disclosure, we have backed United Gamers. And I think that should cover the required portion of what I have to say. This space is recorded, so you will be able to hear it again or share it again after the fact. And now, without further ado, I do want to start introducing our speakers. We have a great panel here, and we'll be talking about all things Tezos Gaming Ecosystem. So, speakers, I would like you to kind of say a few words about yourself. I'll just call you up, and then you can kind of introduce yourself and say a little bit about how you got into gaming and Tezos Gaming. Nico, you're actually first up on my screen, so let's start with you.
Okay, yeah, sure. So I'm Nico the Pico Crosscourt. I've been a professional level esports head coach for League of Legends teams such as Fnatic, Origin, and Innocent Pajamas. Today I am the Chief Gaming Officer for Balthasar DAO, which is a GameFi platform. And I lead our research team, which is the primary producer of all the Balthasar research reports that I hope you've seen. And if you haven't seen them, then I highly recommend you go and check out some of our research reports. We are the only ones in the entire GameFi space producing and releasing proper, unbiased, unsponsored, in-depth research reports with credible opinions and feedback from esports and gaming professionals. So yeah, I guess that's a quick intro.
That's very exciting. Alina, would you like to go next?
Yeah, sure. Hi. Thanks for inviting me here. It's great to be here. I'm a game developer from my background from a long time ago. I've been in the industry for about 17 plus years, I believe now. So I've been building games on many different platforms, mobile, PC, web. And how I got into Web3 was that we started with QuickSave Interactive about 5 years ago, and we've been building games on HTML5. But previously, we were doing like Web2 platforms, like social platforms, Facebook, Viber, Zoom, and others. And so last year, we actually started collaborating with GIF Games on the Tesotopia project, and that kind of got us into the Web3 world. And I have to say that it's been great to kind of turn into the Web3 and see how it grows and how it evolves. And yeah, I kind of have the game industry viewpoint on things still pretty much, but definitely now I feel like I've been welcomed into the Web3 community, and I've started to learn quite a bit about that as well.
Awesome, thank you. Bunny Knights, would you like to go next?
Sure, man. Thank you for having us. Super appreciate the opportunity. So Bunny Nights is a project that originally started out as an art project. It was a pixelated animated GIF project, and as we sort of saw it grow, Bruno was inspired to create Bunny Night Arenas. Currently, he's a web developer, game designer. Joe's our contract guy, and then I'm Blank, so I'm your community manager. But basically, started out March 2021. And then the game itself ended up becoming something that he wanted to add as utility for the NFTs. So we're really excited to be here. Appreciate you.
Awesome. Thank you. Pigs at War?
Hello, everybody. Also thank you for inviting us here. I'm Public Hawk. I'm the voice of the pigs. I myself am a business developer and doing business concepts and strategies, and I'm in the software business since like 21 years. Most of our team, like we have so far, we are like 13 on the team. Everybody is coming from the gaming industry and as well from the blockchain industry. So yeah, that's about us.
Awesome. Thank you. And last but not least, Ringworlds.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me as well. My name is Matthew Teridis. I'm the creator and illustrator and the game designer behind Ringworlds, which is a tabletop RPG game built on Tezos. I got into Web3 gaming the natural way, the natural evolution way. I was a gamer, and then I developed a couple of games like back in the day with Unity, simple stuff myself. But then I started looking into NFTs and blockchain. So I got into Web3 gaming, like as a sort of evolution way to start and create my own project as well.
Awesome. Thank you. So now I'd like to have kind of an open discussion. I'll throw out topics, questions, and then anybody can respond in kind of any order. If we go quiet for too long, I will pick on somebody. But other than that, I'd like to not interfere in kind of the free flow of the discussion. So to start, we're here to talk about Tezos Gaming, and I'd like to know how everybody kind of found their way to the Tezos ecosystem. How did you decide to start building games on Tezos of all the available blockchains out there?
Shall I start?
Sure, anybody can go in any order.
So I didn't go into like researching and stuff like that into different blockchains. So for me, it was I started doing NFTs, and Tezos was the first thing that I was suggested to look into. So I came and stayed here essentially, and I started doing NFTs and artwork, illustrations. But then it kind of turned into like a project for me. So, and I wanted to develop a game for Tezos because I always liked the idea of games being this 360 thing, this 360 creating thing that I always enjoyed. Like, how can I say this? If you want to be an art director, you have to know a lot of things. You can't just be like a graphic designer, so to speak. So games for me is the sense that you have to have an all-round knowledge in order to do something right or have the right people. So yeah, Tezos, came in and helped with all these things because the community is great and huge support from the community. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the community, to be honest. And so, yeah, I landed here and I stayed here. So.
Yeah, I'd say that for us also didn't really make a study among the chains, but starting with Tesotopia, obviously they already had landed here.
Anybody else?
Yeah. Am I hearable? Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So sure. So but obviously after we
Okay, for us, it was no question to do this on
Pigs at War can't hear me.
Pigs at War? I think you're cutting into Alina's.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see that. I have connection issues.
No worries.
No problem. No problem. Yeah, I'll finish up. Anyways, but even after coming into it, like looking into like, okay, there's this Tezos chain. there's a project on to be done here. So we did study the chain then on like what is it about, and everything we found out about it was very good. Like all the kind of performance, the governance, how it's handled, how it's very ecological. I mean, all these things, they did matter for us, for the team, especially internally, on like where do we want to build our game and how do we want the game to kind of what is the message that we can tell to our fans also, that what kind of environment we are in. and so actually we are very happy to be landing on Tezos. And yeah, even though we didn't study it before we ended it with Tezos, we actually did study it afterwards, and we were very happy with what we saw there. And that's a good place.
Is it where you want to try a microphone now?
Yeah, sorry, I could not hear anyone talking. That's why I was asking, but it was a connection issue. Yeah. So, yeah, we came to Tezos. A friend of us was talking about Tezos years ago, and so we got to Tezos a while ago before we even started. We also started with NFTs last year, but then we started with exploring the game. Yeah. And then it was no question for us due to what Tazos offers, like the on-chain governance. But other chains do have, and so for us that was a stable blockchain to go with. Yeah. Also, of course, due to all this, the minting costs are very low, and yeah, it's efficient. Yeah.
It's curious, this might be the first kind of ecosystem talk that I'm doing where the speakers don't start with, I started playing Axie and then I got into this, which is really cool. I think this is, might be one of the first talks we do where the discovery happened through the blockchain and through the community of the blockchain, and then everybody kind of stayed around. But Tezos is a very kind of different type of blockchain in terms of kind of the language it uses and kind of some of the characteristics kind of developing around it. So I'm curious, what was the process like kind of learning the smart contract language, finding developers? Like, there's it feels like there's a lot more kind of documentation and tooling around kind of the Solidity and Rust ecosystem. So I'm curious, how was it kind of finding your way around kind of the Tezos development environment?
I'm going to jump in on that one. For us, once we understood what it took to actually create a contract creation is really simple. The language, you just have to learn the language. And you don't have to learn Mickelson. That's insanity. I think maybe 100 people in the world can actually use that language, but we have compilers. So like if you use a different language like Go, Python, something else, I don't know. But you have options. It's not unfortunately the documentation isn't there. What's nice is with our tech, since we're constantly we're not forking, we're upgrading. You don't necessarily have to come up with innovative rewrites on your contracts, but you do have to review them. It's an interesting space for that reason in and of itself.
I think when it comes to technology about like smart contracts and when we talk about blockchain, we have to get into the ups and downs most of the times. I believe that Tezos is like one of the few that both the ups and the downs derive from one thing, and that's upgradability. Because when you're like a game developer and you're creating something for a version that it exists in the space, then you have to take into account what exists at this point in time. But the speed in which Tezos is upgrading, it can like it's not changing like in a sense that you have like different versions and you have to adapt, but they are constantly bringing new things in, and then you started creating something for this version of Tezos, and then something new pops up, and then you have to adapt onto the new thing. So you're constantly working onto new things into your smart contracts and stuff like that. So this can be a never-ending nightmare if you're developing, in a sense. So don't take this the wrong way. I think it's a pretty good thing that it's constantly upgrading, and we get new things all the time. But yeah, sometimes it can be devastating when you have finished like one thing, and then the new upgrade for Tezos comes up, and we have like optimistic rollups now to think about, and how we can implement all these things into our smart contracts. Yeah, so it's pretty exciting. It's starting out to be like very exciting in how to implement new things.
I think in a lot of the ecosystems, especially when new incoming developers are exploring different tooling, different documentation, there's quite a bit of support coming from either the core team, the foundation. What is the support system like around the Tazos Game Ecosystem?
Can I hop back in? Is that okay?
Yeah. Anybody can jump in any order, as long as you have something to say.
Yeah, right. So I think there is like this thing we call the Tezos Foundation. It provides like if someone needs it, it provides like a backing to different developers that they have to provide, I think, analytics and stuff like that for the project. I'm not really sure about this because I haven't gone through the process, but there are different now throughout this last 1 year and a half that Tezos has been speed developing. We've seen like a couple of new projects popping up to help developers and help new creators get the funds that they need, and have the support that they need. So but you also have the support of the game developer community, so to speak. That I was air quoting. You obviously can't see that, but so everyone helps everyone in a sense here. So you will get support from projects and from people. So yeah. I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah. I'm going to leave a little bit of room for everybody else to kind of jump in and share their experience.
I'd say it's been instrumental getting to know the other community members in Tezos prior to all of this explosion. This world's very small. The whole world itself is tiny, and the fact of the matter is we can't get anywhere by ourselves. We do need hands up, not handouts, and it's really interesting to see the ones who've had success and the ones who've wanted success but refused to ask for help, and the ones who've asked for help and have taken off, and others who can't understand what happened there. And the community in general, unfortunately, is the support. There is no quote unquote foundation to run to. The foundation exists to help people springboard and become self sufficient. They're not looking to bankroll an entire ecosystem. This is a place where unfortunately it's still small-ish. I'm not going to say it's small, but it's small-ish. And if you want to have success in this, it's a small circle of people that constantly talk. And I'm thankful for knowing all of you.
Yeah, I would also highlight the cooperation between projects and how that is kind of, there's a lot of kind of goodwill from all of us to each other that let's work on this together, and that's something that really is important for all of us.
Yeah. Can you all hear me? Just to make sure.
Yep.
Yeah, I would like to add on here, like, we did not reach out to the Tezos Foundation in the very beginning or something. This is the community, yeah. We received a lot of help from Tesotopia, Joab, yeah. He helped us a lot to getting kickstarted and everything. So, and we try to forward this help, what we got in building and in everything what we need to know to the next project. So yeah, it's becoming self-sustainable, I think. Yeah.
It's really interesting to hear that, because it sounds almost like kind of an idealistic, like, community vision that kind of the early Web3 had. I'm curious then, given kind of the setup, how do you see the onboarding of kind of game talent, right? Game developer talent, game artists into the ecosystem. Tezos has kind of quite a bit of a reputation for kind of fostering artist communities, and there's a lot happening in that regard. But what about kind of gamer talent? How do you see that being onboarded? Is that also kind of a community effort? And what's the pitch when you see talented game developers? How do you onboard them into the Tezos ecosystem?
I can give a start here. So to piggyback off the previous point and then bring it into the new question, the thesis that I've personally had coming into GameFi, and a general thesis that we have over at Baltasar, is that obviously GameFi is in its infancy, and it reminds me a lot personally of the early years of League of Legends esports scene. So it's now in season 12, started in 2010. And the early seasons of League of Legends esports are very similar to how I'm experiencing the current state of GameFi. And then the reality is that the people that succeed over a longer period of time is the people who are able to remain within the scene until the heydays. And our thesis is that the real heydays of GameFi, it's not here yet. We're still a couple of years away, maybe more, like 3 to 5 years. And the reality is that if we look at how League of Legends as a game, when League of Legends came out, it got a lot of hate for microtransactions. But it was one of those games that really opened up the world and cultural acceptance for microtransactions. And the honest truth with GameFi is we're just not there yet with tokens and NFTs. But I don't think anybody in this call is questioning whether or not we will get there eventually. But it might take some years. And so my ultimate goal is to find the other people who are builders and who are going to stay within the ecosystem of GameFi for the next 3 to 5 years or 10 years or 15 years, because these are the ones that you need to collaborate with and work together with and share ideas with so that we succeed together. You can get far alone, but you can get even further together. And yeah, I just think it's extremely important to have a very long-term perspective on GameFi. And in terms of picking up gamers, I think we're at a point where we're trying to shove NFTs and tokens down gamers' throats. And that's not going to be how we bridge them eventually. Eventually, the gamers are going to come in and they're going to see a game they like, and they're not going to know which blockchain it's built on. They don't need to think about that. The gamers are going to come in and they're going to play a game that they like. And if it happens to have NFT technology or tokens, or it's built on Tezos or built on Avalanche or Solana, it doesn't matter. The gamers want good games. And then it's up to the games to build with the technology that they can to make that experience as seamless and positive as possible. And bringing this all the way back to Tezos, I think Tezos is an amazing ecosystem to make this entire experience very seamless for the gamer in the end. And I think that's a huge reason as to why I'm personally very bullish on GameFi projects on Tezos long term. We're not there yet, but long term. Okay, I'm rambling way too much, but yeah, that's my spiel.
So I wanted to touch about on the subject of onboarding gamers more because Nico pretty much like covered most of the things. I think it's important that we start utilizing different terms in terms of onboarding gamers, because at the end of the day, gamers are essentially what they want to do is play a game that they find fun and that they find that they can get some sense of competition out of it. So I think the blockchain, it should, or the way I'm seeing it, is going to evolve into this huge competitive thing for gamers to come in, because I think that's the best way to utilize NFTs and tokens and what so, other than microtransactions and stuff like that, which you already have in the gaming world at the moment. So what I mean by that is that you have an essential, very easy way to onboard gamers. They don't have to go through all the fuss of creating wallets. It's going to be done like one click way, and you're going to have a wallet. I pray that it does, and they can have like a get into as fast as possible, so they can get through the door and compete with one another and earn something. That's the earn part, not just play and earn in the sense that it is now. So I think I agree on the matter that we have quite a few interesting years ahead of us, because the way I see it is the games that are looking in the future on how to utilize NFTs and tokenomics and all these fancy words are the ones that are gonna turn the tides onto from the classic Web 2 and classic gaming onto the Web 3. So I'm hoping that all of us here are part of this team of onboarding more gamers onto Web 3. Excuse me.
Yeah, I definitely agree that it's mostly the quality of the game experience matters most to the player. But that being said, like obviously in the game design you have to consider what's your business model, and blockchain is definitely part of the business model. And I mean that's the same in like any other platform. Like for example in the mobile, like if you do a premium mobile title or you do a free-to-play mobile title, you look at the design differently. You have to think it from the beginning on how do you design the monetization into the game. And it's the same with blockchain. It's a bit different model of monetization, so you kind of look at it from the beginning in your game design. But of course, a lot of things in how to make a good game are still the same. Like it has to be something fun that you stick around with, and all the how the graphics are and how the sound is and everything. Like there's certain marks of quality that are there always. But I think as a game developer, like blockchain is like very interesting opportunity to also design kind of new formats and new kind of concepts on what kind of games would work the best. And I think once we all kind of iterate on these different game types and everything, it'll kind of be easier and easier for the gamers to come on board and really fall in love with those concepts and games and that's what matters. I mean, the players will come when the games are there and they are easy to reach. But I guess the question originally was also about developers and how do you get more game developers on the chain. I guess on that part, I can see that the sentiment is shifting. It's been shifting for the past 12 months quite rapidly. Like a year ago at this time, you would hear a lot of talk in kind of game developer forums that, like who's on the blockchain, that isn't that so stupid or whatever. But now it's like less and less of that, and because I think part of that is that there are so many game companies or startups who've begun to look at it like very experienced game developers getting more and more into the scene, that if you have a lot of your friends doing it, you kind of you kind of have to dig in a bit deeper and look at it. What is it that my fellow developers are seeing in this space? So I think it's I see that it's less kind of how would I say, negative thoughts around the blockchain nowadays than it was a year ago. So I think that sentiment is definitely getting more positive, and I think that already will bring more developers. It'll be easier to hire also people who have a game development background to all our various companies.
I want to follow up on something that Nico said in the very beginning, and I think everybody echoed it to some extent. Games need to be fun, but and there's got to be a very smooth onboarding experience. There's got to be as little friction as possible for gamers to kind of just get to the game and enjoy the game experience. But for that to be possible, we see that there's a lot of infrastructure that needs to be built, not just kind of payment rails, but kind of management solutions, onboarding solutions, middleware, a whole host of kind of different infrastructure components. We see some of that being built, separately in the different kind of gaming blockchain ecosystems across our industry. I'm curious, how are you approaching it within the Tezos ecosystem? Is this something that you have teams building? Is this something you're all building internally and then outsourcing? Like, what's the process of building all of that kind of middleware infrastructure that's needed?
I mean, we're sitting on the edge right here with you, man. The fact that we're having this talk with you and not building is killing. No, I'm kidding. We're really at that point where we're developing just that. I wish we could say it's here. It'd be a lot easier if it was, but that's like looking at people who built huge civilizations and looking at those guys saying, if only you had a bigger cart, or if only you had a building to start with, or I mean, we're building it, man. I don't know what to tell you.
One kind of trend that I can also see is that a lot of the existing kind of service providers from the kind of traditional Web2 gaming industry are now also moving into Web3. So if we talk about analytics providers, if we talk about like kind of ad tooling or some backend tools, obviously, or different kind of information game design tools, or I mean, all of these kind of big service providers, if you talk to any of them, they all are looking into their Web3 strategies. Either they are already there or they are coming here. So I think that's going to help also. I mean, if we can use some of the existing services that have already been kind of working on the mobile gaming, and we can kind of adapt them for the Web3 games. Of course, that is not like underlying tech on how to build the game, but a lot of the services kind of like, for example, when you start to do UA and you start to like advertise your game and these kind of things, I think there will be a lot of kind of the existing frameworks that can be adapted here or are willing to adapt. That's, I mean, they will be they will be kind of like offering their services here as well.
No, I can just talk for us. In the very beginning, we just bought a lot of duct tape to get all done. No kidding. Like Bunny said, yeah, we're building all this right now, and there are a lot of issues and coming up, and it's yeah, we are building this, so we are facing things, and then you think it's everything works well, but then there's another little issue. So yeah, but we have to go through this and build, just keep building, and that's all what helps. Yeah, and we are not here for a day or two. I mean, I talk for us right now. We're here since a year now, and building. We just got out our demo, and now we keep going, yeah, moving forward. And if you have a question on something, when something is missing, you reach out to somebody else who maybe did it already. So that's how an ecosystem works, I think. And here in Tezos, yeah, the doors are open. You just have to ask.
It feels like the Wild West out here, if you know anything about Americana history. It feels like we're out in Nevada in the desert developing this glorious oasis. Sure, there's water and there's green trees and there's lush environment, but y'all in New York are screaming at us why we can't get our uncivilized asses in gear. Oh, sorry. And so, I mean, it's unfortunately that's where we see ourselves, is we are pioneering, unfortunately, in weird uncharted water, and we're trying to merge that in a world where, I mean, blockchain animosity exists for a reason, because there's investments behind it. And we're clearly here for building. Unfortunately, there is monetary gain for pushing us down. So I don't know. It's tough to earnestly build in a space like Ethereum, where we can do it here in Tezos without the pressure. So.
That's an interesting point right there. So is there kind of less pressure building in Tezos because there's kind of less of a spotlight? Because within Ethereum, within Solana, Polygon, there is kind of a bit of pressure and criticism when things don't go exactly according to plan. But at the same time, there's also kind of, we talked about a little bit earlier, a little bit more kind of organized support. So how do you balance the two, kind of the just kind of the community feel with that kind of the lack of the more organized, centralized support?
Well, I think, or Ringwalds, do you want to talk?
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay. I think if you're honest and transparent, the community knows that we are building new things here. And if you're honest and transparent, the community forgives you a lot of things, yeah, and knows that you're building, yeah, and you're building for the ecosystem, yeah. And yeah, sometimes we build totally new things, and then like our devs are working on something like a special kind of wallet, let's say, to add up what Nico said before, yeah, to finally get at the point where you don't even know that you're on Tezos, yeah. You're using the game because you like the game, and then you find out, oh, oops, it's on Tezos, yeah. Like there are other applications out there using Tezos already, but you don't even know that, yeah. And I think this is the goal for everybody, and takes a while, but we are at the very beginning, so we have all time in the world.
Yeah, exactly. So I 100% agree. And what really is important is that you tackle this like how can I say, like with all honesty, and that you keep your community informed, you keep the people that are engaged informed, and you stay 100% true to what you said. Most of the times, this means that you say that you are going to do less and overperform at the end of the day, but essentially that you're keeping on the loop all the people that are inside this thing. And I always find it important that building trust and stuff like that, you always show how are you doing stuff, what are you building, what are you creating, and engage with the people that are part of this and ask them the questions, because if you don't ask the questions, I do not know what they want most of the times, what the people that are making the games for want. So asking the right question, asking what is it that you like, will keep you like 3-4 steps ahead of the game. Always and like never assume that you know what you're doing, because especially when it comes to blockchain and stuff that we are, it's like a swamp. You walk and you walk, and then if you stop walking, that you might drown. So you keep going and going and going, and you always have people beside you and asking them, how do I walk through this path? So yeah, I think it's really important to keep people in the loop and on the loop and asking for guidance if you don't know something. You don't have to be a smart ass, so to speak.
Awesome. I do want to open up the opportunity for the audience to ask questions. If anybody has a question, you can kind of request to speak, raise your hand, and we'll invite you up, and you'll be able to introduce yourself and ask your question to our amazing speakers. No pressure, but if anybody has a question, you do have some time until the end of the hour. I did want to kind of follow. Oh, we have a question. Tana, I will call you up right now. Please introduce yourself and ask your question. You can speak now. Tana, you're on mute. I'm going to assume we're experiencing some technical difficulties on Tana's side. You can speak. Yeah, you just have to unmute yourself.
Hi, excuse me, I just couldn't hear you for like 2 minutes. Is it possible that I ask my question or?
Yep. You can just introduce yourself and ask your question.
Hi all, and thanks for this great space that I really enjoyed listening to, and I think I would try to find it every time that it happens because I need it. I'm an artist with like more than 2 decades of experience in visual arts, especially. And recently, since 2015, like 5, 6, 7, yes, 7 years ago, I started to try to make my comic works a little bit interactive and so. Then I tried to design games using Unity, especially that also game industry and software like Unity are like nowadays more artist friendly, so you don't need a great developer or a big team to work. It's like, I think all of you know about democratization of game industry and so on. So I started to make like a small platformers just to try it, and my main goal was to uh, make my own art interactive, because I'm sort of tired of just having like this two-way kind of art, like artist and audience. I wanted my work to be a little bit interactive and so. But already since a year, I'm working on my main game, just because I learned like in last 4 years I was learning and making a small game, mini games and so. But now I want to make my adventure game that I have worked a lot on. I mean, in the concept and the design and also assets and so on, and the atmosphere, because it's more like ambience based game that people can explore and go inside my artworks and explore the place. And also I was thinking that
Don't mean to rush you, but can we get to the question so that others have a chance to speak?
Okay, I just wanted to reach at this point, sorry. Yes, the thing is, I want I just came to blockchain because of my game. The main reason is that because I want to make my game with some make it like make some features for it that it seems like they are only or not better can be updated in blockchain, uh, and it's like maybe 2 months that I'm looking for, or maybe more, maybe 4 months that I'm looking for developers that can help me. But I found it a little bit kind of elite thing, and I listened to many videos, not too many, but to as much as I could find in YouTube, and so about different and companies who worked on Tezos Gaming. And my main question is, can I, as an artist, just as an indie artist, be hopeful that I can also make games? Because I don't want to make games just for fun. It's like an experience and art, but for me it's important, but it's not financial oriented. Can I hope that I can also use Tezos as a um, way to uh, do that, like design games that can be connected to blockchain and can be used that way, like having assets and so on? Or I should just stay like wait for some more years that is available for indie people? Because I just thought that maybe to find a developer and so on, I must just have a big
Let,
company with big money
Tana,
to help me.
Tana,
Yeah.
let the speakers now answer, okay?
Yeah, I could start off actually. I mean, it sounds like you have a lot of interesting projects that are already quite evolved, and I think what you would need is a technical partner, or someone who's it could be even start with a one person, a programmer who kind of gets on to who kind of gets the same vision and starts to help you to realize that. Talking to existing developers like us or some others in this team, we are probably already quite busy with our current work, and we have a lot of ideas internally already in the companies that we build. So it's a bit harder for to kind of instantly jump on something. I mean, the exception is that there are a lot of companies who do kind of outsourcing or work for hire, but that would mean that you would have to pay them for every hour that they do. So I think if you wanna talk to some indie game developers, there's a lot of them. I mean, there's a lot of people who do games for passion, and if they dig your vision and they get onto it. I mean, you can find a collaborator that is more technical, that can do the programming work and kind of start building a working prototype. I mean, Tezos is I could a perfect place for that. But yeah, you need to find, I think, the right kind of technical person or group to collaborate with, maybe.
I think this segues interestingly to another question I had. What is the process like for finding developers? Is it, are you always looking for somebody with experience, with blockchain experience? How hard is it to train somebody, and kind of how do you go about kind of building out your team?
So I'm gonna talk from the artist point of view, because I'm not a game developer at the end of the day. I'm just an artist doing something, a game. For a fact that when I started shaping out the ring worlds, I hadn't had like a clue on how to find someone, but what I did know is how to design the game. So the best thing that you can do, in a sense, is like complete the game as in a game design document, and get the basics in there, and shape what you need to shape. And if you feel confident and you can share this idea with someone who can help you, as Alina said, like a technical partner, and they can have like a monetary split, or whatever you feel confident on sharing and stuff like that. You can like you can even drop a shout out on Twitter and ask for help at the end of the day. But in a sense, Tezos already covers that, because if you're on Tezos, most of the times you belong into some community or what else. And even if you play a game, then you're in a Discord or a Telegram channel, and you can ask from there and stuff like that. It's intertwined in a sense, like all connected. So I think finding a game developer, finding someone to share this, not just the game developer, because you need a guy or a girl for smart contracts as well. You want someone for, the game dev part. So you need people, but at the same time, you're gonna find the people that you need in this space. That's what I've been taught in this space, because I was literally lost when I started finishing up what I wanted to do, and I was like, I can't find developers, but then I found someone, so it's pretty cool. All you have to do is ask the question, like I said previously.
Those are very encouraging words. It's good to hear. We don't have that much more time. I have a couple more questions. As part, with gaming, we keep going back to, you need gamers, right? You need to attract gamers. And I'm curious how different the process of kind of user acquisition is for Tezos than you would expect in kind of a traditional kind of Web2 environment. I know within other blockchain gaming ecosystems, people are trying to kind of work around and solve issues of how to get on the App Store, how to kind of work relationships with publishers. In some ecosystems, organic kind of Web3 native publishers are starting to arrive. So I'm curious, how are you thinking about that part of your journey? The actual kind of user acquisition, go-to-market strategies. What's common now? What's considered best practice within the Tezos ecosystem?
Okay, I can start a little bit with coming from the Web2 gaming space first. One big difference here is the strength of the community. Obviously, like the gaming communities, they are super active, super easy to reach out to, super easy to kind of have a conversation with, and it's like any game company anywhere wants to have a connection to their players. But I love it how in the Web3 space and on Tezos it's so super easy and so active, and that's that definitely helps. And that's, I think, one of the key strategies that has been on the Web3, that you kind of organically grow the community, and it is always, for any game anywhere, it's good that people talk about it, and kind of friend referrals are always a good way to grow. But I do think that it's developing towards more also just like paid marketing and user acquisition. Obviously there we need to figure out on what are the analytics on, like, how do we follow, what's the ROI, what's the return on investment if you put money on ads, like how do we measure, how does it all kind of, I think that's quite fresh. I don't see a lot of projects on Web3 on any chain doing much of that. Some of it, yes, but I do think that's gonna be a sector that evolves here, because it's so big area of like mobile gaming in general. And another interesting point that is happening is that there are coming marketplaces for Web3 games that are kind of outside the traditional app stores. I do think that there's like, for example, we do HTML5 based games, so there's going to be marketplaces for those to kind of do user acquisition as well, kind of through those marketplaces.
So, if I understand the question correctly, are we asking how do we get people into our games? Is that the question?
Yep, in a way.
So, I think most of the projects are actually holding back onto the user acquisition at the moment, because we don't have like an end product. we don't have something to keep them coming, or in a sense like hold them there other than the NFT thing. But the reality is that everything in terms of user acquisition is going to start rolling out by the time that we have the projects out. And it's important that it stays, I believe that it's important that it stays that way, because if you have like a huge user base and they see like a slower progress towards the game, because they don't understand the how walking into the field of blockchain and developing more slowly than what like big companies and stuff like that do, you're gonna have like a huge backlash. So I feel, at least for our game is like we are just exposing the game enough so that we can have people who are interested in joining in early and getting to understand the building part of it and being part of the building of the game. But when we're talking about user acquisition, we're talking as in terms of the general population, the gamers, the people who are gonna come and go. They might play 1 day, 2 days, so we want them as well. But yeah, I don't think right now is the time to have someone that's gonna leave in 2 days. You want people who are interested in the project more.
Yeah, I would like to add up on there. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Cool. I just want to make sure. Yeah, right now, I mean, we are building for the Tazos community, and this is what we're doing there is with quality. Yeah? And also there we get the feedback, and what Ringwald said, they have the understanding and the knowledge of blockchain. Yeah. And as soon as the game is out and it's ready to market, then we will go for user acquisition. Yeah. But then of course the Tazos community are the early adopters, what are helping us, and therefore they will have the benefits, um, since they are here for the beginning. We have a small community, and they are giving us helpful feedback while we are building. Yeah, so this is very important. And then the next step, when it's built, then we go to market and do the acquisition of users from outside. Yeah.
Awesome. We're basically at the top of the hour, and I like to end these talks with everybody saying just kind of one thing they're looking forward to in the next few months. So, the speakers, you want to kind of jump in with kind of one thing that you're excited about in the Tezos gaming ecosystem coming up.
I'm super excited for optimistic rollups being implemented. I want to see how creative people are going to get. 100%. These optimistic rollups are going to change everything. Blockchain is so limited in its speed. It's so limited in its amount of information that it can move per block. But with these rollups, man, we turn this into a whole new world. So that's what I'm most excited for.
Can I go ahead?
Yep.
Yeah, Bunny Knight stole this just right out of my hands, because I'm honestly like looking forward to optimistic rollups as well. It's gonna be a game changer for both Tezos and the gaming in a sense, because well, you're gonna have to speed up things in gaming. They don't wait for like a minute to submit the transaction. So, and we also look forward to our alpha stage of testing of our PvE part of the game. And to be honest, I can't wait to see this whole thing come to life, and can't wait to see people's reaction to it, even if it's a negative reaction, and get that feedback that we're longing for. Like I said previously, we're here for the long run, and we are only here to make it better, and that's the only choice that I see.
And I think that takes us to the top of the hour. Lena, you wanted to add something?
Well, I think that was I think very very conclusive on like what's coming up on the Tezos and what's good there. I'm just excited the next month on the updates we are rolling out on on our kind of own product and in what's coming up in Tesotopia battles. But I think that's very only targeted to our product obviously.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for coming to Waypoint Web3. Thank you speakers for sharing your thoughts about Tazos Game Ecosystem, and I look forward to next week's session. Tune in. This is, as I mentioned, this is a weekly Twitter Spaces. So bring your thoughts, bring your questions, and everybody have a great rest of your week. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.